Hi, it's Simon here, and in this video we're going to look at beefing up your workflow. And by that I mean we want to put some automation in place so that you don't have to do everything so manually. Within our sales flow, for example, we'll keep using this example, there are various stages where we want to do certain things. So when we get a brand new inquiry come in, we want to make sure that that inquiry gets an email sent to them as an extra touch point that we're going to come back. We also want a task to be created to make sure we respond correctly or the right person in our team responds to that inquiry. We probably also want to tag this contact as a new lead or as a sales discussion or as a hot lead so that we can differentiate them from other contacts in the database more easily. Later, as we get down, we might want to make sure, for example, when we're sending a quote or we finish a meeting when we have to send a quote, that task gets created, send quote, and even send invoice and things like that. And down the bottom, when they get to our trigger point, when they become a customer, so they've paid an invoice, they've signed a contract, they've accepted a quote, whatever it is for you, they get tagged as a customer, and then the new lead tag might get taken off them. So to add any of this stuff into a step in your workflow, we just look over on the right hand side of that step and you'll see a settings icon. And if I click on that, it expands and gives me different options that we can do within this first new lead step. So whenever a new lead comes in, think of what's going to happen. It's either a phone call, it's either you've just finished a networking meeting, or they've sent an inquiry through your website or something like that. So we might want to have a tag applied. So over on the right hand side, we've got the option for tags, and we've got two options. We can either have a tag get put on or a tag get taken off. So I want a tag to be put on the record at this time. Put it on the contact, and I want the new lead tag that should be in your account to be added. Click on that, click save, and we can see that's now updated. So whenever someone gets put into this workflow, they're immediately going to be tagged as a new lead. We also want to have an initial email go out to them just so they get that touch point. So what we might want to say is we'll add a new email. I've clicked on email. These emails can be sent automatically as part of the workflow, or you can use email templates to send yourself if something requires a more tailored response. But in this instance, this is just going to be the very first response that goes back to someone. Could be when they've filled in the inquiry form on the website, they get added into the workflow, and this just goes back as that initial response. So our subject, we might want to put, great to hear from you. Nice and simple, keep your emails personal. Nobody likes a generic email these days. Hi, person first name. So you can see we've preloaded the obvious mail merge field that you might want to have in here. There are all sorts of mail merge fields available, and this makes sure that the one template can be sent to multiple people. So we might want to say, thanks for getting in touch. Just a quick email to let you know I've received your inquiry. I'll take a look at it as soon as I can and come back to you with a more detailed response. Looking forward to connecting more. Nice and simple, but it makes sure that when someone sends an inquiry through via email or via the website, they're getting an immediate response and they don't have that feeling of waiting 24 hours, 48 hours for you to get back to them, even if it happens across a weekend or at night time. They're getting this email back. We can scroll down and set when we want this email to go off. So you could have it go ASAP, but that might make it really feel like an automatic email. And we kind of don't want that to happen. We've written the email as personal. We would have personally typed this email anyway, so let's put a little bit of a delay on when this email goes out. So from the time the person lands in the workflow at the new lead step, let's say we'll wait 30 minutes. So after 30 minutes, send the email. So 30 minutes after the step is selected, that means when they get added into the workflow, send this email. There's an option for time of day, and you can use this when you're pushing things out a day, a week, a month, a year, whatever the workflows that you're going to set up, they'll become quite elaborate as you get used to it. But for anything under a day, so minutes or hours, it's obviously just counting straight away. There's also an option for rules. Send an email only if something has happened. And on this initial email, we wouldn't be using that. We want everybody to get this, so we'll leave it alone. Once you're ready, click Save Workflow Email. But before I do that, I skipped over a step. So scroll up the top, and the very first question was, who do you want to send this email from? So if it's just you, obviously it's going to be coming from you, but you may have a team, and you might want this initial email to be sent from a particular person who handles these incoming inquiries. Could be an admin officer, office manager, reception, initial sales or support, things like that. So I'll leave it as myself, but you could change it to anybody else in the team, and it will use their email settings, send it from them. The signature will be coming from them. So we'll scroll on down, we'll hit Save Workflow Email. And now we can see we have one email in our workflow. It's going to be sent 30 minutes after someone gets added in, and that's going to happen automatically. It'll be sent to any person who hits this. Next, we might want to have a more tailored email go back to them based on the questions they've asked, the information they've sent, and that's going to require someone to read the email, interpret it, think about your products and services, and come back to it and answer any questions. So rather than that being an automatic email, we're going to use a task for someone to actually be reminded to send a different email. So we'll go Add New Task. And this will just be a basic to-do. It's a reminder. There's the option to create new task types in your account, and you can click down here where it says Create New Standard Task Type if you want to do that. But a lot of these kind of just remind yourself to do something will be a to-do. And then in the summary, we want to set clear instructions for exactly what should happen. Don't just say send email, because it doesn't tell you enough. You need to then click in further and find out what the email should be about. So say very descriptively that you don't need to click any further when it shows you this task on the screen. So this is going to be a response to an inquiry. So send initial inquiry response. Nice and clear. If anybody in the team saw that, they'd understand what it's for or what they need to do. We want the task to be set up immediately so that it's on our radar straight away. But again, just like with the emails, you can set tasks to happen at any point in the future as well. I'll keep it straightforward for now. We want this task to be set up immediately. It's going to be assigned to me, or we could say assign it to a particular team member, same as wherever that email was being sent from. Once you're ready, save the task. And we're good to go with all of our automation that's been put in place for the initial step. So we have our one email, we have our one task, and we have our new lead tag that's going to be applied when someone hits this step. So let's go and have a look at what that looks like when someone actually gets added. So I'm going to go up to my search, going to look for a contact to give a demonstration. So adding someone into a workflow manually, you can do it from their contact page. So whenever you open up a person or a deal, the workflows will be available. It's up in the top right hand side of the screen under a heading called Workflow. So I'll click on Add Simon to a workflow. I'm looking for Sales Flow, which we just created, and we'll add him in. And straight away, it's prompting to send an initial inquiry response email. That's the task that we created. We'll say yes, create the task, and we have our task available. If I reload the page, we can see that the new tag has been applied, and that email will be sent in 30 minutes time. Remember, this particular workflow was being designed to handle that initial response. Now, once you get a few people in your workflow, you might want to see what it looks like from a bird's eye view, and we can do that from the Activity Center. So rather than looking at just one person's individual case and updating them from here in the workflow menu, we can go into our Activity Center, which is in the top left menu, Activity Center, and we're looking for our sales flow. So under currently viewing, choose the flow you want to look at, and here we have our entire sales flow It will have everybody that's part of it, where they're up to, how long they've been here, and you can even be managing the person from here. We can send them emails and we can move them forward. So by clicking and dragging and dropping them on any step, that will move them forward to the next step. We're going to continue moving people through our workflow all the way through to the end, either from here or on their record page. And once they hit this final trigger point and become a customer, we'll want to move them into a deal-based workflow where they're buying a product or getting a service from us. So that's the basics on setting up some automation into your workflows. Have a think about each of the steps, especially things like when you've got to send quotes or when you've got to send invoices, getting those reminder tasks added in or automatic emails set up.